Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video will be my TV and movie wrap up for March and April. Before I get into the wrap up, I want to change the title of this type of video. I don't really know what to change it to. I just feel like TV and movie wrap up isn't that interesting. So should I change it to like things I watched in March and April, or all the TV shows and movies I watched? I feel like this type of video needs a title change, but I'm not exactly sure what to change the title to. So if you have any suggestions, please let me know down below. I think I am going to change it before this video goes up, and then I might change it after you guys give me better ideas. Also, yes, I am wearing an Edward Cullen shirt. My friends got this for me for Christmas, and I keep forgetting to wear it for my TV and movie wrap-up videos. I finally remembered to wear it today, and it's kind of funny because I will be talking about the Batman later. So for March and April, I watched a total of 2 TV shows and 3 movies. I would say like 3.5 movies. You'll see why. I'm gonna start with the TV shows first. The first show I watched was Poldark. I watched the entire first season. I'm going to totally butcher explaining the show, so I'm just going to read the IMDb summary. Ross Poldark returns home after American Revolutionary War and rebuilds his life with a new business venture, making new enemies and finding a new love where he least expects it. I started watching this show because one of you guys recommended it to me, and that comment really sold me on the show, so I started watching it. And I will say it started off really strong. I really liked the beginning of the show. I was very into it. I wanted to keep watching. However, I quickly got bored with it. I liked the characters and I liked how it kind of started as like this slow burn romance, but then it went very fast. I thought the romance was going to be a little bit more slow burn, and that is kind of why I was bored, because the characters just got together really fast. I thought it was going to take like 2-3 seasons before they fell in love. However, that's not what happened. So it just felt like there was nothing for me to like root for. I also found some of the storylines to be a little boring. I just didn't really care about all of the minds and stuff. I will say, like, I did like Ross and I did like Demelza and I liked their relationship, but I wish it was more slow burn. I wish it would have took like 2 seasons or 3 seasons for them to get together. The first season does end on a cliffhanger, but I don't think I'm going to continue the show. I just wasn't that gripped, and I'd rather not waste my time on a show that it took me almost a month to watch the entire first season. And then the other show I watched was Kim's Convenience, season 5. This follows a Korean Canadian family, and they run a convenience store, and it just follows their everyday lives. It's a very funny and cute show. I really enjoyed it. The 5th season was the last season, so I'm officially done this show. I will say the last like 3 episodes were a little all over the place. It felt like there were so many storylines that they didn't really properly wrap up, and it kind of felt like they didn't know that the show was ending, but they also ended the show well, if that makes sense. Overall, this show was really fun and entertaining, and I definitely laughed out loud a couple of moments. I also teared up towards like the end where they're having like the last like dinner scene all together. I definitely teared up in that scene. I loved the final shot of the show. I think that was really beautiful. Even though I've really enjoyed this show and I do think season 5 was really good, I just feel like it kind of was rushed towards the end, and like I said, there were a lot of storylines that just didn't really feel wrapped up. But other than that, season 5 was great, and I could definitely see myself rewatching this show in the future. Now on to movies. The first movie that I watched in the last 2 months was Turning Red. Should I rate TV shows and movies? I feel like I rate movies, but I don't really rate TV shows. Let me know if I should start doing both. But if I were to rate Turning Red, I would give it a 3.5, almost a 4-star. This follows a 13-year-old girl named Maylin turns into a giant red panda whenever she gets too excited. This was so cute. I loved this movie. I didn't really give it a high rating because it was kind of forgettable for me, even though I loved it in the moment. I just feel like it's not something that I will remember. It was super funny, super cute. This movie really focused on female friendships and the relationship between mothers and daughters. And I really like how they showcased all of that. I think it was really well done. I also love all of the like fangirl stuff with like fan fiction and boy bands and all of that. I really, really loved that. I feel like that is not really portrayed a lot in younger media, I guess, especially in a positive way. I feel like it's always showcased as like a negative thing, and it was so nice to see this in a fun, uplifting, happy way. I really liked how all of the girls in the front group were all really different, but still had like lots of things in common. And I definitely saw myself in all of them. I also really enjoyed the message about periods and growing up and not really changing who you are, but embracing it. It was just such a heartfelt, cute, and funny movie. I really, really enjoyed it, and I would rewatch it. And then I watched The Batman, which I gave 4 out of 5 stars. I actually watched this in theaters with my friends, which it probably has been over a year since I've seen a movie in theaters. I really, really enjoyed this movie. It is almost like 3 hours long, but it really did not feel like that long of a movie. I feel like the entire thing was really entertaining. I also went into the movie knowing that it wasn't as action-packed and that it was a little bit more of a detective kind of movie, which I think helped, because even though I knew there wasn't a lot of action, I still kind of wished there was a little bit more action. I loved all of the performances by all of the actors. I do think Robert Pattinson was a fantastic Bruce Wayne / Batman. I think he did a really, really good job. I did enjoy Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. However, I don't really feel like her and Robert Pattinson had a lot of chemistry. I feel like that's my only issue with this movie, is I did not feel their chemistry. I do wish the romance was a little bit more developed, because I just felt like it lacked for me, but also it wasn't anything that I really cared about the movie either. Like, if there was no romance in the movie, I wouldn't have cared, but it was nice to have that aspect. I just feel like it wasn't as developed as I wished it was, if that makes sense. I thought Colin Farrell as Penguin was amazing. Like, if I didn't know it was him, I would have no idea, because the makeup, the accent, like everything, he was just so fantastic. Paul Dano was fantastic as the Riddler, but I honestly didn't really think of him as like that scary of a villain. I don't know, there was something about the Riddler in general that I didn't find that terrifying. The directing, the cinematography, the soundtrack, all of that was amazing. Absolutely loved that. The club fight scene was fantastic. I also loved all of the scenes where he would like fight in the dark and you would just like see flashes of light. That was fantastic. I loved that. Overall, really good movie. My complaints are just kind of like minor little complaints, but other than that, it was like a really good movie. I really enjoyed it. I just really liked seeing this kind of different version of Bruce Wayne and the Batman being a little bit more like emo. I really, really liked it. Amazing performances from everybody. I thought this movie was fantastic. Then I watched Tangled. This was a Passionflix adaptation. This I gave around 3.5 stars. This I made a whole video about, so I will link that down below if you want to know more of my thoughts. But this is obviously an adaptation of the book by Emma Chase. This is the IMDb summary for Tangled. Catherine refuses to fall for Playboy Drew Evans's tactical skills to seduce her, making him desire her more. This was a very solid rom-com. I definitely enjoyed this movie more than the book. The actors were pretty good. I felt like they had a decent amount of chemistry. It was a very cute and simple, easy watch. When Drew talks directly to the camera, that is something that happens in the book. He talks directly to the reader, so it makes sense that he would talk directly to the audience watching the movie. I didn't really enjoy those scenes. I wish it was more of a voiceover instead. However, obviously they were staying very true to the book. There were 2 sex scenes, I guess, sort of, and they were both really well acted and well shot. I did enjoy the directing. I will say the audio at some times was a little off. It was a pretty perfect adaptation. They followed the book pretty well. The dialogue wasn't as cringy as their past adaptations, even though they used a lot of the same dialogue from the book. It just worked well for this movie. There were a couple cringy, awkward moments, but overall, I really enjoyed this movie, and I do think it is one of Passionflix's best. And then I said I watched like 3.5 movies because I rewatched half of 365 Days. My friends and I were rewatching the movie so we could watch the second movie. However, we had to cut our night short, so we only ended up watching or rewatching the first half of 365 Days. So I'm not completely counting it as a watch, but I am in the process of rewatching the first movie. I don't know when I'm going to finish the second half, but hopefully soon. I haven't seen the second movie yet. I am hoping to watch it with my friends. I have heard some mixed things about the second movie, but I'm just going to worry about finishing the second half of 365 Days. So those were all the TV shows and movies that I've watched in the last 2 months. Let me know what you've been watching recently and if you have any recommendations for me. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, follow me on all my other social media, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!